Humans are a unique super predator by John Amos, the BBC science correspondent, 20th of August 2015. Human status as a unique super predator is laid bare in a new study published in Science magazine. The analysis of global data details the ruthlessness of our hunting practices and the impact we have on prey. It shows how humans typically take out adult fish populations at 14 times the rate that marine animals do themselves. And on land, we kill top carnivores like bears, wolves, and lions 9 times their own self predation rate. But perhaps the most striking observation, says authors Chris Dermont and colleagues, is that the way human beings focus so heavily on taking down adult prey. This is quite different from the rest of the animal kingdom, for which the juveniles of a species tend to be the most exploited. Part of this is explained by the tools that human hunters exclusively can deploy. We can tackle adult prey at minimal cost and so gain maximum short term rewards, explains Professor Dermont from the University of Victoria in Canada. Quote, advanced killing technologies mostly excuse humans from the formerly dangerous act of predation, unquote, he told reporters. Quote, humans capture mammals with bullets and fish with hooks and nets. They assume minimal risk compared with non human predators, especially terrestrial carnivores, which are often injured while living what amounts to a dangerous lifestyle, unquote. Predator financials. This concentration of large adult prey is triggering extinctions as well as driving an evolutionary shift towards smaller fish sizes and disrupting world food chains, says the authors. Professor Tom Reicham of the University of Victoria co-authored the study, uses a financial analogy to explain the damaging consequences of hitting adult populations hardest. He calls the adults the system's reproductive capital, the equivalent of the capital held in a bank account or a pension fund. And he says we are eating into this capital when we should really be living off the interest, the juveniles, which many species will produce in colossal numbers, expecting a good fraction um, to be doomed from the moment they are born via predation, starvation, disease, accident, and more. The heavily biased preference for adults was not a sustainable long-term strategy, which ought to be clear from fundamental biology, argued Professor Dermont. Quote, in the overwhelming number of cases as fishes age, they become more fecund. That is to say, they produce more eggs, have more babies, and in fact, in many cases, many of those babies are more likely to survive and reproduce themselves. Quote, when a predator targets that reproductive age class, and especially the larger, more fecund animals, in those populations, we are dialing back the reproductive capacity of populations. However, Much of the standard conversation management today is based on the notion that it is the tiddlers that should be let go to ensure robust numbers for the next generation. Trawl nets are often designed specially to support this approach. Um, Doing it the other way would be challenging, but the technical solutions are available, said Professor Reinsham. Quote, there are traps that can define the entrance to a net, which then very easily allows you to exclude fish above a certain size. In other words, the reproductive capital, once the motivation is in place, clever people will work out how this transition from reproductive capital to the interest can be brought about. Unquote. As for quotas, these should more closely align with the numbers taken out by single natural predators, the team suggests. Human population. Dr. Chris Carbone studies predator-prey relations for the Zoological Society of London in the UK. He describes the research as an interesting study that aims to put some actual numbers on phenomena that may in the field that many in the field would recognize. But he cautions that as broad as the investigation was, the data was still sparse, especially in the marine